Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today we're going to be diving into the realms of Algorand. Now, this video was inspired by an interview I've just wrapped up with John Wood. I will be releasing that at some point this week, likely on a Wednesday or Thursday. So make sure you smash that subscribe button for when that video, that interview with John Wood, the CTO of Algorand, gets released. And one thing that I mentioned or asked him about was interoperability and you know, how does Algorand plan on solving this problem? And he mentioned state proofs. And this is something that I've heard about but haven't really grasped a full understanding of. And the more I've dove into state proofs, the more excited I'm becoming. So what I want to do in this video is talk about Algorand, talk about these state proofs and what they mean, not just for Algorand, but potentially for the cryptocurrency market at large. Silvio Micali, the founder of Algorand, the Turing Award winner, has... That award is specific for cryptography, by the way. He is an absolute genius when it comes to this space. You couldn't have a better man for being a founder of a blockchain than Silvio. And essentially, he's came up with this concept of state proofs. And there's a good chance that state proofs could become the standards for how we interoperate and actually send verified messages, not by someone you need to trust, but by an already trusted blockchain around the blockchains and interoperate with them. It is really, truly, absolutely amazing what state proofs are doing and what they may become. You guys will know if you follow me. I'm a massive fan of Polkadot and what they're doing with their XCM, their sort of relay messaging service. Also, really like what Cosmos have laid down with their IBC. And IBC is making real ground. We're seeing it open up on other chains and providing those messaging services. But state proofs are a completely different way of tackling this, but make so much sense. And it doesn't just have to be cryptos that you can essentially trust to interact with other chains and get moved around via messaging. You can actually do this with data. The possibilities are endless for what state proofs really open up. I mean, it really is genuinely impressive technology that could revolutionize the entire crypto space. You know, I don't say that with any kind of unintentional dramatic tone to it. It really is that much of a deal. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Apologies if you came here for a price update. We will get one of those out later on down the line. You guys will know that we stayed out of the market last year and got into the market at the start of this year. If you want to find out about what I'm doing from an investment point of view or anything else, my thoughts daily on the markets, there's a link to my Patreon in the description and you can come and join the crew. Let's get into it, guys. So how Algorand's state proofs power blockchain interoperability. I think this was all inspired from a paper called Compact Certificate of Collective Knowledge. I can go ahead and get rid of my face now, guys, to some of your delights, which was an interesting paper wrote by Silvio and a number of others at Boston University. And it's kind of evolved into what we now have as state proof. So I want to first of all explain why interoperability is relevant. Cross-chain bridges, which are the current way that we interact with other blockchains through bridges. We've seen these become a real sort of valuable point of failure. And then we're going to talk about Algorand's state proofs and why this is just so genius. And then we're going to play a clip from Algorand talking a little bit more about state proofs and actually the use cases for them and why you may want to use them. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it. How Algorand's state proof power blockchain interoperability. Algorand's recent implementation of state proofs mark a major step forward for Web3 interoperability. With the increasing mature Web3 ecosystem, seeing users move between different blockchains more frequently, finding simple and secure solutions to interoperate is a major challenge for the sector. It is indeed. The blog looks at what interoperability is, some of the solutions that are already available, i.e. bridges, and how Algorand state proofs offer a major improvement to prior art. It will then underscore the importance of securing and growing Algorand's ecosystem with Algo smart contract audits. We can look into this as well, and other Web3 security tools developed by Certic. So please, please, please watch out for that interview coming out with John Wood later on this week, because it gives you a wealth of insight into Algorand from somebody who's very well positioned to talk about it. And you will ultimately find yourself coming away from that interview more excited than you already were about Algorand. I mean, that's exactly how I've been feeling all day after wrapping the interview up. So what is interoperability? One model for imagining the current blockchain landscape is by picturing a collection of islands in the ocean, each with its own ecosystem, rules, and currencies. Using this as a picture, interoperability refers to the ability of each island's population to travel and trade with their neighboring island. Naturally, this is a highly desirable function for Web3 ecosystems, with most Web3 users not isolating themselves to a single chain. Being able to smoothly cross over from one chain to another drastically increases convenience, efficiency, and cost. So right now we have cross-chain bridges. One popular yet controversial solution to the problem of interoperability has come in the form of cross-chain bridges. Technologies that serve as trusted intermediaries for funds and that allow users to essentially convert a chain's token so that it can be used on another chain. So trusted. The whole concept of blockchain is to be removing that. So the revolutionary feature of blockchain is we have came up with a way to cryptographically mimic trust in a way that we can all excuse me, publicly verify. So if you're re-entering a trust element, what you're essentially doing is you're kind of, creating this weak link in the system. What Algorand are doing with their state proofs is trying to eradicate that. Also with IBC and a number of other things, similar but different. So since their launch, the cross-chain bridges have become extremely popular, with hundreds of millions of dollars locked on single chains alone. However, this popularity has been matched only by the vulnerability, with some of the biggest crypto hacks in history having targeted them. For example, the Ronin bridge, a critical bridge chain that powers Axel Infinity, was attacked in March 2022, with hackers making away with 600 million in funds. This hack serves as a useful case study for a key problem in cross-chain bridges: centralization. Absolutely. So the amount of funds entrusted to bridges has inadvertently made them a new and enormous point of centralization that hackers have rushed to attempt to exploit. So in the case of the Ronin hack, a hacker was able to drain the protocol of funds after gaining access to keys that grant privileged access. While this vulnerability could have been avoided with proper privileged access management, the fact remains that so long as cross-chain bridges constitute at a point of centralization within the Web3 ecosystem, they are major vulnerability and a clear point for entry for hackers. So the fragility of cross-chain bridges famously led to Vitalik Buterin's prediction that the future of Web3 would be multi-chain but not cross-chain, as he believes their fundamental vulnerability prevents it from becoming a permanent infrastructure. Yet, of course, the need for the interoperability that cross-chain bridges facilitate is not likely to go away, and as such, there is a clear demand for alternative secure technologies that facilitate this. So it is absolutely a interoperable future that we're moving towards. How that's facilitated is still to be resolved, okay? But it will. So you don't have to join a different server to browse the internet, right? Every time you go on a different website that may be hosted by somebody different. It all interoperates. This is the same place that blockchain is going. And those yield opportunities that will open up for that are something that I'll be taking advantage of, and hopefully you guys will too. So Algorand state proofs. Enter state proofs, the latest update to Algorand's technology, which it says provides a decentralized solution to interoperability. Algorand state proofs work by providing a lightweight snapshot of Algorand's state that is both easy to communicate and impossible to fake. In practice, this means that Algorand's transactions and balances are made accessible to low-powered environments such as a phone, smartwatch, or even a blockchain smart contract, all without compromising on security. So this is interesting because this bit of information will be passed to another chain that will be able to get verification and confirmation of whatever it needs to, and that could be to move assets over and have those assets minted or whatever it may be on another chain and use. And there's this kind of the middleman has been taken out essentially. So applications like oracles, bridges, and wallets can query these clients to cryptographically verify Algorand's state in a simple, trustless manner. To explain how this works, Algorand gives a hypothetical example in which Alice wants to send Bob 10 Alice coin from Algorand to Ethereum. Alice's coins are extremely valuable, so they want to make sure the tokens arrive quickly, safely, and without permission from or trusted in intermediaries. Alice can send these tokens directly to Bob's Ethereum wallet via a trustless bridge whose code base is open to the public. At the level of underlying technology, this process is facilitated by allowing Alice to lock her tokens in a trustless bridge Algorand smart contract. This means that she is unable to create duplicate tokens. The Bridges Ethereum smart contract would simply ask the Algorand Lite client, kept up to date by state proofs, if Alice locked the tokens. Once verified, the bridge would mint and release an equivalent amount of Ethereum to Bob's client. So some of you may say, okay, well, it's not actually moving an Algorand standard token to Ethereum, but why are we trying to reinvent the wheel here? Okay, when you look at the financial system, it's a messaging service essentially that moves funds around via messages. There's no physical that move in the background. It's just, it moves via messaging. This person's put this much money in their account. Okay, update. And vice versa. This is exactly how interoperability is going to be achieved, in my opinion. You're not going to be taking an Algorand standard token and taking it onto Ethereum. Or at least not, there's nothing in the way of that just yet. So what do we got then? So Algorand's update its network to implement state proofs on the 7th of September. They also did some massive other upgrades. They took the transactions to the over 7,000. Speaking on the release, Algorand's founder Silvio Macali said the interoperability between blockchains is the future, and Algorand state proofs are a critical security feature for communication between networks. He then went on to outline some of the groundbreaking functionalities that state proofs enable and their role in addressing some of the challenges that Web3 is likely to face in the future, from decentralized bridges to securities from quantum attacks. Absolutely, it's quantum proof. Algorand's a quantum proof blockchain. So will these state proofs. So this data is immutable almost. I say almost because you never know what's going to get thrown at us. So this constitutes a major leap forward in the mission of securing Web3 ecosystems and ensuring mainstream adoption. Then it goes on to talk about securing innovation with Algorand smart contract audits. It's just absolutely fascinating what Algorand are doing. I think they're a superior blockchain to most layer ones out there. There is a questionability about decentralization in regards to validators, the sort of overseeing validators anyway, and the actual distribution of the tokens. However, it's largely the same around the block in terms of, if you look at blockchains, if you look at wealth generally, it's distributed at the top. However, I do think Algorand is genuinely a superior blockchain to most other blockchains out there. If you take a blockchain on its merit of what is it supposed to do, it's supposed to work, and Algorand works bloody well, cost effectively, with very, very low latency and no downtime, no forks. It's just impressive. So let's go ahead and play this clip, guys, with the individual from Consensus 2020 talking about Algorand's proof, state proofs, and what some of the things you can do with them. And then we will wrap this video up.
Now, when I refer to state, I'm talking about transactions, account balances, the state of different smart contracts, really any information that the Algorand network can reach cryptographic consensus on, we can export into a state proof. Conceptually, you can think of each state proof as a short letter that summarizes recent blockchain activity and happens to be signed by a large chunk of the Algorand network itself. So it's kind of like writing a short letter that says, here's all the recent stuff that I saw on Algorand, and by the way, it's signed by, say, 80% of the entire Algorand network. That provides a lot of confidence. Looking under the hood, each state proof is a compressed set of signatures sent by Algorand consensus participants attesting to some statement or event. In this case, what you can think of is a light block header. Now, consensus participants on Algorand nodes every 256 rounds will assemble this summary data, sign it, send it to the network, And then those signatures will be compressed into a compact state proof. Okay, so we have these fancy state proofs, but
it's super, super interesting. Reiterating a lot of what we just said then, getting a bit more technical. It's talking about how it does this after a certain number of blocks, so it doesn't, kind of in the same way that sidechain might miss out a couple of blocks and just reference less frequently and batch all their transactions. State proof, kind of different, bad example. But I'll let him go on to talk about what you can do with these.
What can I actually do with them? Well, coming back to the original problem, we're looking for ways for dApps on other chains to ask the Algorand network questions. As portable proofs, you can send each state proof to a different blockchain to cryptographically verify state without trust in an intermediary. So how do these other blockchains keep track of Algorand state? Well, if this blockchain has smart contracts, like Ethereum does, you can build applications that we like to call light clients. A light client is kind of like an oracle that can answer questions about its area of expertise. In this case, the light client will ingest and verify each state proof and learn about Algorand blockchain state. From there, it can answer yes or no questions like, did Alice lock 10 algos in XYZ's bridging smart contract on round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? So let's review the process. Alice is on Algorand and she wants...
Just to wrap it up, I won't keep you for much longer, guys, but this is truly a magnificent piece of tech that's come to the crypto space. And that's coming from a non-technical guy. I have no technical background. I've just studied cryptocurrencies, how they work, why they work for years now. And this is impressive.
To send 10 algos to Bob, who's on Ethereum. First, Alice will deposit 10 algos in the Algorand locking or burning smart contracts, and that transaction will get recorded into a state proof. The state proof will then be signed by, say, 80% of the network, which can then be sent to the light client, who verifies and stores the summary data. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Normally, the bridging minting smart contract would have to ask some intermediary about this transaction, but we can completely cut them out and simply ask the light client, did this transaction happen, yes or no? If yes, the bridge can mint the Ethereum, the wrapped algos on Ethereum, and we complete the export picture. Now, while validating individual transactions is interesting...
I'm going to leave it there, guys. That's basically it in a nutshell. You know, you're basically taking out the trusted intermediary and replacing it with a trustless blockchain. All I've got for you in this video, guys. You enjoyed the content, like as always appreciated. So as a comment. See you in the next one.